There's something that I'm seeing a lot, particularly on social media, and a lot of things, a lot of this is stuff that I heard or believed when I was about 18, a senior in high school, and really trying to navigate what I want to do with my life. Because at that point, I was set on not going to college, and the only other option was the workforce and career. Now, regardless of if you choose school or not, you're at this point of life where you're kind of either getting ready or about to have, the sort of the hand holding structure, let go. No one's going to be telling you to do this and do that or what the next step is. You spend your whole life in school from kindergarten to, grade 12 being like, okay, and then next year you have this milestone. And then next year, you're in the eighth grade and then you go to high school and now you're in the ninth grade. And this is the point of your life where that stuff begins to go away. And a big trap that I see people fall into that, I sort of was mentally falling into this trap was you gotta love what you do. They're always telling you, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Do what you love. And that's true. You wanna find something you love, but people you gotta understand, if you're in this position, it's like, you don't just get that from day one. You have to earn it. You have to earn loving what you do, and also, it's okay to not love what you do, because what you do isn't your whole life. It doesn't make you it is not everything about you, and I think we had this sort of unhealthy obsession with career, and that being the whole of your identity. I think it's definitely good to not, just give in to working some soul-crushing job for the rest of your life. But when you're 18, like I was, entering the workforce, it's like, dude, you're a nobody. You're actually a nobody. You don't have skills. You're a baby in the adult world, and that's fine, right? And with that comes this phase where you're gonna have to put in work. You're gonna have to endure things that aren't great. Like right now, you know, I'm finishing paramedic school. I've been on the fire department for 2 years. And being a firefighter, especially where I'm at in the country and, with, how well paid fire departments are where I live, as well as the awesome schedule we have, it's like, by all means, I work a dream job, right? And I'm very blessed to have it at this age, 23 going on 24, but it's like, I didn't start day one out of high school with this amazing dream job. I was a laborer on a job site. I spent the first 2 years out of high school waking up at like 5 in the morning, whether it was hot or cold, it didn't matter, working my body, working on a job site, making not a lot of money. I spent a lot of time not knowing what I was doing, having to sort of earn respect to even be taught things. I had to drive like over an hour to the city to, work these jobs. And, when I first started, like I've worked 2 jobs in that sort of time period. I did a little bit of time as an electrician's apprentice, and then I spent the rest of those 2 years framing houses before I ended up going to EMT school and, like, going the whole firefighter route. And, even from the beginning, it's like, when I was getting into my electrician's apprenticeship, I was like, "Alright, I'm gonna learn to wire this and that, and I can't wait to make all this money." And it didn't work out that way from the start. I was a laborer. There was days where I wouldn't even get sent to the job site. My boss literally would, like, have me do busy work. Like, there was days where I went to his house to clean his cars, and that's just part of life. I had to earn my way towards being taught things. I had to earn my way through time, effort, and energy to build myself up. I didn't get what I wanted from day one, and neither are you. And the reason I say this is because I see a lot of, people online being like, "Ah, yeah, I was working this job, waking up every day, going to work." It's a lot of like young men who go into the trades or some real world job and like they do it for 6 months and then they get influenced by this like internet fast money culture of like, I'm just going to start some online digital business. Those are like the buzzwords people hear, right? And what they want is the lifestyle. Like they want the nice cars, they want the money, they want to see the 10, 20K hitting their bank account every month, but they don't actually ever think about how they're going to get there. They don't actually think about what they're doing. They don't even want to, they don't even want to earn it. And the reason I say this is because that was me when I was like 18, 19, like, I was very much infatuated by this idea of, like, fast money. I was like, "Wow, dude, like, being an entrepreneur and blah, blah, blah," and, like, that stuff's cool, I'm not bashing it. As I've grown, I've realized I don't really have an aptitude for, like, internet money and, like, techie entrepreneurship stuff. It's just kinda not me right now, but what I've come to realize is, like, you have to earn success, which you might be like, "Duh," but it's like you gotta become somebody, and a lot of that involves this grudgy, grimy working phase, because as much as it sucked waking up at 5 a.m. every day and going to these job sites, eventually it's like I stopped doing the busy work. Eventually, the foreman or the people on the job started teaching me things. Eventually, they started to, you know, respect the work ethic, and it's like, "Hey, let me show you this. Hey, let me teach you how to frame this wall or how to lay these things out, or here's how you cut your rafters." And over time, it's like, you get little pay raises. Now I'm becoming more of a skilled carpenter than just a laborer. And that takes time. And another thing too is you're not stuck there forever. So many people that I see online who make these videos of like, I was working this job and I didn't like it. And I didn't want to do that for the next 30, 40 years. That's great. It's great that you want more in life. But that doesn't mean quit your job right now. A lot of that is just an excuse to just not deal with the suck that they're dealing with right now. There was a long time where I didn't want to be in that job, but I just still had to show up because at the end of the day, it's like, this is my job and I got to make money. You can spend your free time planning your exit. Don't just quit and be like, dude, I'm banking on myself. I'm about to, I promise it's going to work, dude. Like, no, be an adult, keep your job, build yourself up. Don't fall into this trap of like, I'm following my dreams, bro. You can follow your dreams. That's fine. But it most likely is not going to happen the first few years out of high school. You need to actually become somebody before you're successful. And a lot of that comes through developing your character. And just to speak on some of the things that I've done, right? Not that I am not the holy grail of wisdom. I am very much still young and naive. But if I learned one thing over the past, 4 or 5 years of like growing into adulthood, it's like you got to become somebody. And a lot of what I used to hate so much, the early mornings, the, you know, watching everybody else seemingly have the time of their lives while you're out here working and I say seemingly because we think that everyone's just living this highlight real life, but we don't see their struggles behind the camera or the social media posts, but I digress. You know, despite having to do all that, I look back now and it's like those experiences made me who I am today. Who knows? Part of why I might have been taken seriously as a 21-year-old in my firefighter interview, maybe that's because I spent a couple years working construction. You know, that maybe it's because some of that experience, knowing how residential structures are built and the anatomy of them, is relevant to firefighting. Or maybe it's because, okay, yeah, he's a young kid, but he can hold a job for an extended period of time. He can do physical work. And I'm not saying you have to stay in your, sucky job or whatever you're in and somehow like use it as experience for your next endeavor, even though it can help. What I'm saying is these experiences that you don't love form you into who you're going to become. It's just not something that you can experience right away. The reward you're going to feel for embracing hardship, for putting up with something you don't love for now while continuously striving in your free time towards something better, you're not going to get that reward until after the fact. And that's okay. And so, really, at the end of the day, it's a job doesn't make you successful, a degree doesn't make you successful. What you're doing isn't your identity. At the end of the day, being successful, getting things done, living a life you want to live, it's about you and who you are and who you become. I know people who've gone to college and done great, and I know people who haven't gone to college and done great. People who've gone to the trades, people who started businesses. And the common denominator is not what they do, it's who they are as people. So, and at the end of the day, it's like your life isn't just your early 20s. You gotta get this idea out of your head that it's like you gotta enjoy life now while you're young. These are your peak years. Only if you make them. You live your life in a way to where your 30s are gonna suck. Sure, your 20s are gonna be your peak years. Or not. Or you can take care of yourself. You can plan for the future. But dude, the tomorrow's not guaranteed. I know tomorrow's not guaranteed. That's where you gotta just find it within yourself to enjoy the right here and the right now. So, if you're like I was when I was 18, you're starting off your first job or whatever, this sort of beginning phase of your life and it sucks, just stick with it. You'll find a way. Stay where you are now and then spend your free time trying to strive for better. Eventually, you'll get to a better place. Don't be obsessed with this internet fast money hustle culture. I didn't, you know, it's okay to not love what you're doing right now. Build yourself up, become who you need to be. That's all I got for right now.